Welcome to episode 112 of the Fully In It podcast. On today's show, I have a guest joining me, Sara Curto, a career coach whose calling is to help people find their dream jobs and feel more fulfilled in life overall. Sara is one of my favorite people. She's a mama who's raising her family with so much heart and intention. She's a fellow entrepreneur who is following her intuition in creating a wildly successful business, a nature enthusiast and a travel lover, and finally, she was a longtime private client of mine. So it was a complete honor to have her on the show and share more of her story, and specifically how she moved from working in corporate to becoming an entrepreneur. We actually recorded this episode last year, but it got put on the back burner as I was dealing with a death in our family and had to put the podcast on pause. We dig in this episode into how you, or if anyone you love is currently in a career search, how you can find work that truly fulfills you. And the really cool thing about this running right now is that if you happen to catch this episode when it first comes out, is that next week, the first week of April 2023, Sara is running a 5-day training called Fix Your Job Search Coaching Week. You can find out more about it and register by heading to @Sara the Career Coach on Instagram. Okay, let's go ahead and get into this episode. You are going to love it. Welcome to Fully In It, a show for moms who know they are called to so much more. Join me, Kate Saffel, a life and a business coach, and a woman on a quest to show that anything you desire for your life is truly possible. This show is about going fully in it for you and the people you love by showing up powerfully in all areas of your life. Join me for weekly episodes that will inspire you to follow your intuition, lead with integrity and heart, and create the life you've always dreamed of. Sara, it's so awesome to have you here.
Oh, it's so great to be here. I'm actually nervous about this podcast because
Really?
I know you. Most of the time, I don't know and love the person as much.
Aw.
So it makes me a little more nervous. I'm just realizing this now.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? Like, it's all good because I have done so many of these and I still get nervous like every single time. So
Oh,
we're like,
yeah.
we're just in it
Nervous
together.
creatures. Yeah.
Yeah. So Sara, obviously I know you, right? We've been coaching together since last July, but for all of the mamas who are listening, who like, they don't know you yet, but they're going to know you so well by the end of this episode, would you be willing to like, just share a little bit about you? And then we're going to jump right into your story.
Yeah. So my name is Sara Curto and I live just outside of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I am married to my high school sweetheart. We've been together 25 years this year.
What?
Crazy.
Oh my gosh. I had no idea.
I know. So Justin, and we have 2 kids, Nolan and Abby, and we have the most wonderful life up here. And when my kids were born, well, let me back up. So I started in human resources and hated it. And when my kids were born, really started to realize I needed to. Now I am a career coach and I help people fall in love in their careers. So sometimes that's finding a brand new one. Sometimes that's getting that promotion they keep getting overlooked for, or sometimes just recognizing where they are is where they would love to be. And we just need to change some things around.
Yes. Yeah, I love what you do. And I really love your approach because I think what we share in common is that like mutual desire to love your life and love all the pieces of your life. And you happen to focus on the career aspect of it. But just like my work, when you are happy in one area of your life, it tends to ripple out into the other areas.
Well, and the society we live in today kind of glorifies that living for the weekend mentality. And when we are spending a large portion of our week at some sort of work, whatever that may look like, we tend to see survival mode being okay, or even like glorified in many ways. And that's why we have 80% of people hating or tolerating their jobs. And it's such a waste. It is such a waste. And I know personally what I found is the more and more I shifted to hating my career, the more and more it's like any sort of toxin, any sort of poison,
Yes.
it finds its way into other areas of your life. And no, thank you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
No,
life's
I
too
agree.
short to like so only focus on survival when
Yeah.
instead we can think about thriving. Like that, we are human beings after all. Thriving is in our
Mm.
nature. So it's really kind of tapping back into that.
I love that so much. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about that, like living for the weekend culture, because you're right. Like, I think I'm out of that, right? Like, we really have no week or weekend. I mean, I do technically work like a normal work week ish, but like there's no, oh, I just can't wait for the weekend, or what a terrible week it was because I'm doing something I love. But I also recognize that there's a lot of people out there, and my husband was one of them, who are miserable, and then they find ways to cope with the work misery by choosing things lifestyle wise that maybe throw their lives out of equilibrium. What do you see with your clients? Like, what are some of the things that are common among people who are really unhappy in their jobs?
Exhaustion, I would
Mm,
say, is the number one, is the never
yeah.
feeling like you have energy to do anything. And when we are able to, like, and the worst thing is, backing up a bit, is that it gets into our weekends.
Yeah.
So I know for me, it started with the Monday blues. And
Yeah.
then it started with the Sunday night blues. And then it started with the Sunday morning blues. And
Mm,
I remember clearly being in the throes of a toxic work environment and manager, going away on vacation. And it was a week-long vacation. And by the Wednesday,
yeah.
the anxiety was already coming back about me having to go back to work. What a waste of a half of a week of vacation.
Yes.
And my
Yes.
story is not like, I wish it was just my story, but it is
Yeah.
everyone's story. So many
Yes.
people feel this exact same way. And
Yeah.
when we get to a place where we are so happy with our work, when we found a job and career that lights us up, where
Yeah.
Mondays are just as exciting as Fridays,
Hmm.
um, then weekend, like, you actually get to enjoy your weekend. You actually get to
Yeah.
enjoy those vacations, and you create that work life, whatever that looks like for everyone. It's different. And you have so much more energy. And the amazing thing is you
Yeah.
make such a greater impact,
Hmm.
and you make a lot more money.
Yes,
That
yes.
is what we
I
see.
mean, end of the day, right? Like, making more money just helps everything to feel better, because then those things that you couldn't do on the weekend, now you can go have adventures and
Mhm.
experiences and invest in things that are important to you and donate to your favorite charities, all the ways that money is so impactful. And so, what I'm hearing from you is that it's possible for someone to find a career that they love, that doesn't suck the life out of them, and also makes them more money. Like, that sounds pretty incredible.
And especially for women the gender
Yes.
gap, the wage gap is real. It exists.
Hmm.
And to empower my clients to get multiple 5-figure raises, to finally get them over that
Hmm.
hump of that gap,
Yes.
and to have them sitting at an executive table, either as part of it or presenting to it, and to be taken
Yes.
seriously, not
Hell
to be
yes.
mansplained,
Yes.
not to be ideas to be taken and rewritten as someone else's ideas. Like, it
Mm.
is to be able to support that impact just by finding something that they want to do and rewriting
Yes.
that. In order for me to be recognized as worthy, I need to give over myself to them. Like, this is what many women face, is they work really long hours and they say yes to everything,
Mm-hmm.
which they think is what they have to do to get ahead.
Yeah.
And what we realize is, the more that they focus on the impact that they want, and learning how to have that difficult conversation and say no, or
Hmm.
maybe, or not right now, and
Yeah.
start actually working less hours, we see greater impact. We see greater salaries. We see greater respect. It is it's like rewriting what society has taught us to what actually can allow us to have the impact we want to have.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, because if all we see externally in our world is kind of one way of doing the career, right? And especially for us women, if we look around and we see that all of our contemporaries are making similar choices, or they're not holding boundaries, or they're overworking and they're underpaid, it almost becomes like a mindset thing, right? Like a block in that possibility of even being able to have something different. So I'm guessing too, like you do a ton of mindset work with your clients to break that.
I would say my very first career was in the mental health field in a counseling role. So working with mindset and the barriers we place in front of ourselves and all the implicit stuff, that is a key part of my foundation. And then I just add in the strategic knowledge of being in the room with those decision makers and the conversations that were happening. And then the strategic knowledge of being the person making hiring decisions and what I was thinking. So adding all of those together is a key part of the success. And I think mindset does go ignored in the career world.
Yeah.
It is funny to me that in the athletic world, mindset is a big deal.
Yes.
But in the career world, it is thought of as girly or womanly or too like
right. Yes.
Not male dominated enough. But in a male dominated field, like the athleticism, it's just bonkers to me.
It is. It is bonkers. You know, Kirk and I were actually talking about this the other day and talking about kind of like the bro marketing world, right? Like kind of the bro sales. And we were talking about a particular person who I'm not gonna name here, but this person is very much of the like, you don't need to do mindset work. You don't need to do anything. You just have your cup of coffee and you just get to work and you grind it out. And that's what you do. And that's how you get successful. And I really think that kind of denies the experience that we have as humans. Like we're so complex. We have, you know, subconscious thoughts that we develop by the age of 7. We have traumas and experiences. We have our own internal triggers. And sometimes we have to work through those internal obstacles to reach higher levels. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but that definitely made me think of
what I also think of, like, because there's also some female, like girl boss mentality out there as well. And yes, I believe that if you want to white knuckle and hustle your way to success, that you will find your way to success. But why don't we take an easier way?
Yes.
Why don't we work on our mindset, ensure our confidence is set, making sure we have our own back, like prepare for the obstacles that we will put in our own way, to think about how we will overcome them so that we don't spend a lot of time in them. And we will not only find the same level of success, but we will reach there in a much mentally, physically, emotional, better well-being. And we will be able to have a more positive impact on the world, I truly believe. So why not? Yes, you can make that choice of waking up at 4 a.m., the 4 a.m. club, and killing yourself every day. Or you can just take some time and feel your feelings and have greater success and do it in a way more fun way.
Oh my gosh. Amen to all of that. And like, I really think of your journey, Sara, and witnessing what you have created in your own business, kind of like the lifestyle of how you manage motherhood and taking care of your clients. But then you also have a life outside of your business, right? Like you just have this really beautiful balance that you've created. What has that been like, both creating that business, envisioning, holding that space and boundaries for everything, and then ultimately like some of the successes that have come with it or because of it?
Yeah. So my parents were entrepreneurs. They took over the family business and they worked 7 days a week, 70 to 80-hour weeks. Like they worked a lot. And when we had Nolan, our oldest, we knew that we did not want that.
Yeah.
But we also knew that we did not want the corporate life either. We didn't want both of us working a 9 to 5 job. And where I'm from, that usually coincides with a lengthy commute.
Yeah.
And we're not seeing the kids for long periods of time, and we're there in daycares for long periods of time. And I understand that for many people, they have to make that choice. We were very privileged that we did not have to make that choice. So when my grandfather passed away, which was actually what led me to the aha moment of like, I need to find a career that I love, and I need to really not only just create this life, but I want to also create an impact.
Mm-hmm.
And combining those two, like it's really been figuring out my North Star. Like the impact I want to have on the world, and the family life and life, my personal life that I want to have, and how can I do them together?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so visual, and I know what's a lot of the work you and I have done is really been refining that vision.
Yes.
Refining the vision of the impact, refining the vision of my work life and my family life, and what's all like that going to look like. And what that has allowed me to do is really trust that that is just my future and my present, that's just where my life is going to go.
Yes.
And that has really allowed me to tap into my intuition, to tap into the universe and its messages. And it's almost like a relief, a sense like I had a lot of success, and I wasn't white knuckling hustling my way to success. But the success that I've had since we've been working together has been even easier and greater, which is
and you're having
amazing.
fun too.
Like having so much fun. Yeah.
Which is so important when you are running a business. And for all of us those of you listening to this who may have businesses, right? Like we do this because we love it, but it can be, it's such a big part of our lives. So we want to make sure that we are so fulfilled by it, that we're having fun, we're enjoying it. But like you were saying, Sara, you have that balance between your business and family life. And so what does like a typical week look like for you? Like, what does that balance look like?
So I work Monday through Thursdays, 6 to 7 hours a day. And then Fridays are me days. I'm an introvert. So as you know.
Yeah, I was like, me too. Yeah, hand raised.
So Fridays are my let's not talk to anybody days as much as possible. I get into the woods most Fridays for a couple hours, or I do a long run. Just that, like to me, that's like my big weekly reset.
Yeah.
And for me, we're like so fun focused. So on the weekends, we don't want to do errands. We don't want to do housework. So I try and do some of that on Fridays, so that come the weekend, it's just lots of family time. So that's going out for a good long hike. That's going out somewhere and playing. That's maybe socializing. Now that that's coming back a bit.
Thank goodness, right?
Thank goodness. It's playing a lot of Ticket to Ride. It's having coffees in our backyard. Like it's just us as a cohesive unit. We're so family focused. We really want to be a very strong unit of four. And while like the kids are getting older and we're incorporating play dates into it, there's still lots of the four of us.
Yeah.
And it's very important to all of us. We've sort of instilled that in our children that, we are the core unit. We need to be there and always support and spend time with each other. But my work week, that was all the fun.
All the fun. I love it.
The family fun. Then there's the work fun. And I see one-on-one clients. And I also have a group coaching membership, where I support people on it's like a monthly membership basis. And we are really with the end goal of having people find jobs that they actually want in as quick as time as possible, but then keeping them happy in those careers, making sure that because when you start a new job, often our confidence can get shaken a little bit,
Oh yeah.
especially as women. I would say as women, as introverts, because many introverts are told that they're not
Yeah.
meant. Like there's this notion that only extroverts can be managers, or a new Canadian or a new American, any immigrants. So anyone who always feels a little bit outside of the
Oh
lines,
yeah.
our confidence can get shaken. So it's really supporting the confidence throughout so we can continue to stay happy, where we can continue to be
Mm.
excited about our work.
Yes. Yeah. It is so important. And really, like, I see that confidence, that self assurance, and that self trust within you, right? Like, that has been so evident to me during our time together. And you had mentioned a little bit ago about the visualizations that you have done, and really, like, we're talking about manifestation work. So there's like the strategy of running your business, and you have had an incredible strategy for your business, right? Like, you know what you're doing, you have a plan, but then there's that like space for the magic to come in. There's that space
Mm-hmm.
for creating something bigger and more playful and more beautiful than this present moment. And so when we first started coaching together, I remember us, like, I felt like we were having a conversation about money, and we were talking about a visualization, and I had given you one about the ocean, because for me,
Oh, yeah.
I do you remember this? I am so
I do.
grounded by the water, and you were like, "Oh, this is really beautiful, but like I feel best in the mountains," right?
Yeah, I
Was that
hate the beach. Yeah.
yeah, yes. But it was like we were kind of embarking on these new ways of thinking about and growing yourself and growing your business. So, what was your experience of that like? And like, what have you seen in yourself that you're excited about?
So, um, I think the future telling, like the fortune telling, I think in me is getting stronger.
Yeah,
Um, and I think a lot of that is being very in tune to my intuition.
100%.
And
Yes.
I think I was resisting it for so long because I wanted to do things the right way. And I was also very focused in the early stages of my business learning how to fail
Yeah.
because as an overachiever, straight A student, competitive athlete, like failure
Yeah.
was not an option.
Yeah.
So learn like forcing myself to learn to fail. And now I don't care about failing, but I'm not trying to do it on purpose. So I am more
Yes.
trying to listen and use my intuition as a guide and
Yeah.
recognizing that sometimes like we need to fail in order
Mhm.
to have the breakthrough to that we need to move forward and
Mm-hmm.
allowing my intuition to take me on that failure path because recently I failed. I had a big failure in the business, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me because as
Yes.
soon as that failure was done, it was like, oh, it was like I had crested. I'm going to use a mountain analogy,
Yeah.
but it was like I got to a false summit, and now all of a sudden I could see the right summit that I needed to be going towards. I had spent
Yes.
so much energy on this false summit, and it was the
Yes.
wrong thing.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if I wouldn't have seen the actual summit if I didn't crest that false summit. So
Which is
I needed to do it.
Yeah, which is so, so necessary. And I think that really speaks to, I think it is the law of polarity. There's 12 universal laws that, govern the universe. So
Mm-hmm.
I think people are really familiar with like the law of attraction being the most well-known one, but the law of polarity is that like sometimes you have an opposite that helps to illuminate the other option or the other choice or the other experience that you're actually meant for. So we have these situations in our lives that maybe feel like a massive fail or like, I really screwed this up. I wish this would have been different. But ultimately, it gave you so much wisdom and insight that now is allowing you to take your business in an even more refined and powerful direction.
And I really think the confidence work that I have done so much of myself
Yeah.
to have my own back no matter what
Mm.
allows me to fail and look for the lessons in the failure. Instead
Yes.
of looking at the failure and trying to make it about myself,
Hmm.
I never do that because it is never about myself. There's always
Yeah.
the lessons to be learned. That's the purpose of
Yes.
it. And I think for everyone listening, like if we can build that foundation of our confidence where we can have our own back through thick and thin, like
Yes.
that opens up so many doors. And when we have that, our intuition in the universe is going to tell us a lot of messages that we will
Yes.
listen
Yes.
to them. We won't
Yeah.
resist them out of fear of what we might make any of it mean. Because there's
Yes.
fear of failure, there's also fear of success. And if
Mm.
you don't have your own back no matter what, then you are going to stop yourself and stay stuck because you're going to be
Absolutely.
afraid of what moving forward can mean about you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, because really it's the ego talking, right? Like if we make our failures or the lows in our business or in life or really anything, if we make it about ourselves, then we're ultimately opening ourselves up to be disappointed, to doubt ourselves, to be out of alignment with our intuition because we've broken that connection by going against ourselves. And the ego can be so loud and so
Yeah.
noisy, but it doesn't mean that we listen to it. And so I'm really curious for you, Sara, like, how do you hear yourself? Like, how do you tap in, tune in to your intuition and really have your own back?
And for me, tapping into my own intuition, being outdoors is a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
I am not a journaler. Like I know you are a journaler, and my
I know.
perfectionist self would be a journaler, but I am not.
It's
So,
okay. It's
and
okay.
I am a reflector. Like I am definitely more of a
Yes.
thinker.
Yeah.
Um, and so I know I can guarantee on a long run, it's a big part of the reason why I also do it is I will always get very grounded in love and gratitude for my life.
Mm.
And I
Yes.
find intuitive hits from that perspective is great. I also know that if I really want one, I'm going to go and sit at a nice view or sit by a creek. And I
Yeah.
have to sit there for minimum 10 minutes. My body, the first 5 minutes is like,
Yeah.
is it time to go? Yeah, is it time to go? And then
Yes.
all of a
Antsy.
sudden, the next 5 to 10 minutes like go super fast. And that's when I get a good intuitive hit. But it's also just listening. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just kind of being aware of if something new comes into my mind, taking a moment of pause and being like, oh, where did that come from? What is it? What is
Mm.
it telling me?
Mm.
Um,
Yes.
and then having my own back, I have worked a lot on a process to learn how to
Yeah.
have your own back. Because in a career, it can mean having a difficult conversation that you couldn't have before, negotiating, putting your hand up
Yes.
for something big, applying for that job, or networking. It means so much in a career. And I have found rewriting trash talk or rewriting those limiting beliefs.
Oh,
And we don't
yeah.
have to completely rewrite. We can just add an and or
Yes. Yeah.
that.
Totally.
Yeah, but I don't believe that anymore. It can just be the rewriting that we do of it. But being kinder to ourselves, giving us the grace and space to go forward and also go backwards. Like this is not a linear line of
Absolutely.
success. We don't have to be
Yeah.
perfect at trying to be confident and consistently choosing. We're consistently choosing to love ourselves. We're consistently choosing to believe the good in us and see the good in us and consistently choosing not to go let those limiting beliefs get in our way. And I think having that core has allowed me to then learn how to have my own back.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. And I really see that in my clients who are consistently growing is that they do have that self-love and compassion and they're never throwing themselves under the bus. They may have hard days where they feel really bad, but they're always still on their own team, right? And I
Mhm.
see that within you and I think that that's such a powerful skill set that we can actually develop. Like it's a choice to
It
start
is a choice.
right to communicate differently about ourselves, to others, and to really adopt a new perspective through which we see ourselves.
Well, I think for me, a big part was realizing confidence was not about feeling great about myself all the time.
Yeah.
Like that is really not
So
what
good.
confidence is about.
Yes.
And as soon as I realized that, it took away my perfectionistic thinking of if I ever feel bad about myself, then therefore I'm not confident.
Hmm.
And like, that's just a limiting belief. That's just
Yes.
perfectionistic
Oh
thinking.
my
So
gosh.
once we realize that being truly confident is I can feel good and I can feel bad, and that's okay.
Yep.
Because I
Yes.
got my own
Yes.
back. I can trust myself. I am still in control of my situation. Like
Hmm.
it has nothing to do with that feeling good about
Yes.
yourself. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. That's so good. I heard someone say on a podcast recently that our growth and success doesn't come from when things are going well, but from when things are going bad, because that's when we learn who we are and how we carry ourselves and handle those situations. And
Oh,
so,
that's
kind of,
so good.
yeah. So the point was like, you're not going to have perfect success, perfect linear success all of the time, or you wouldn't be growing. Like it's
Mhm.
natural to have those ups and downs. And so, can I hold myself through all of it and create my own safety and comfort through the entire ride?
Yeah, it's interesting when we get married to somebody and we say those things, I'm gonna be with
Oh, yeah.
you, sickness and in health, and through thick and thin, rich or poor, and all of that. But we never like vow that to ourselves. And I think
Oh,
it's
yeah.
important that we commit like that to ourselves, that we will not give up on ourselves through the bad times. We will not
Yes.
give up. Like I think that that's love. If we want to unconditionally love somebody else, it's like that classic cliche thing. You can't love somebody else until you love yourself. And I think there is a lot of truth to that. And I think it's good for people to be talking about it more and to talk about it in a very
Yes.
different, unique way so that it becomes more accessible to
Mm.
everybody else.
Hmm. Yeah. And really, too, it's like I think about, what we're willing to give our children, right? Like, we're not
Mm.
perfect moms here by any means, but like, we try to love our kids no matter what. When they make mistakes and failures, we hold them and support them and help them see the lessons. And so, really, this is about parenting ourselves too and providing ourselves sometimes the support that maybe we didn't get and we really need. We can get that from ourselves.
Yes. And we can also get it from others.
That,
As
yeah,
someone
yeah,
who's
yeah.
very independent,
That's so true.
who actually needs to learn to bring others in to support me.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes, which was like such a big deal about us working together, right? In the very beginning of, do I need to work with a coach or do I need to have like this long coaching relationship? But I feel like it has been so supportive to have this space to come to week after week.
Yeah, it's I only ever did group stuff before because it's easy to hide.
Yeah.
Easy for me not to put up my hand. And I think it's actually not only has it allowed me to start letting more and more people in terms of helping me, where
Yeah.
I don't have to live and die by the I'm capable of doing it by myself.
Yeah.
I am capable of doing it by myself, and I can also let other people help me.
Yeah.
But I also think it's made me a lot more coachable and coachable from a one-on-one, like me and you standpoint, but also from a self-coachability standpoint. Because
Absolutely.
for a long time, when I was really coaching myself or getting coached, I would get into anxiousness and I would get
Oh,
very like my survival instinct would kick in, and my survival instinct is freeze. And
yes.
when I'm in
Yes.
frozen mode, I don't take in anything, I don't absorb anything. So the more and more I've gotten relaxed with it,
Hmm. Yeah.
when I am even coaching myself or thinking about myself or reflecting on myself, I don't enter into that freeze survival instinct as often, which
Yeah.
allows me to actually grow at an accelerated rate.
Oh
Not
my
like I'm not,
gosh.
it's like I'm not growing, kicking and screaming anymore. Like,
So huge. It is so
mhm.
huge. Well, and speaking of growth, I just want to celebrate here in this space that you've had multiple 20K months in your
Yes,
business. Like what the
yes.
what?
in the last few months.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. Yes. Yes. Which has been like so huge. And like our conversations around normalizing this, right? Like for us female entrepreneurs, I know for me personally, like I was always an under earner. So larger amounts of money would often make me uncomfortable until I learned how to hold it, to sit with it, and to normalize, like, yes, this is just who I am. And what has that been like for you, Sarah? Of like, just like, yeah, of course, like this is what I do.
Yeah, for a long time, I was really struggling I would have like blips of five
Yeah.
figure months. But then I would settle back into I'm a 5K earner. So
Yeah.
like 5K per month earner. And it's been crazy to see that sort of what you call the quantum leap of like, now I'm
Yes.
just an average 5 figure a month earner. Like
Yes.
that's just the way it is. And it feels surreal. Like
Yeah.
it still feels a little surreal, but it also feels like I do feel like this is just who I am now. That this
Yes.
is just
Yeah.
like I'm a 6 figure business owner. It's
Yes.
just who I am. And it's just going to
Yes.
get bigger as my impact grows. My goal is to get 2,000 people in careers they love and
Oh
staying in
my
love with that.
gosh.
And so the money will just naturally follow that. I believe in impact
Yes.
first. Money always takes care of itself. One of my old managers told me that when I took a big pay cut. She said, "Don't worry, the money will take care of itself." And it
Totally.
did.
Yes.
And it did lead me to now it's not my worth and value that give me more money. It's my impact that gives me more money.
Yes.
So I only say that because as a woman, we've been conditioned to believe only our value has an economic worth, and it's our
Yes.
impact that has that economic worth.
Yes.
So that's why
Absolutely.
you can negotiate a salary before you even start working.
Oh my gosh.
So
That's such good advice. That is such good advice. And it like really just helps us to reframe money and to think about it in a different way that isn't hard, difficult, unobtainable, or attached to how hard we work, which I feel like is another story that I hear so often is like, I have to work harder. I'm not doing enough. Money only comes from hustling, my ass off.
now many people feel that once I start working and show them,
Mm-hmm.
then I can negotiate.
Yeah.
But the stats, 90, I just want everyone to know this. Anyone listening who may have a traditional job, if
Yeah.
you are an entry level, 90% of offers are under offers. If you are non-entry level, 76% of offers are under offers. They are under offering you, expecting you to negotiate, hoping you won't. So you have to negotiate. They're not giving you what they will actually give you. They are expecting you to negotiate. And if you need help, let me know. So, because I
That
want you to
is,
get as much money as possible.
I mean, that is insane. I feel like that tip you just gave right there could mean someone making thousands of dollars more just by
Yeah,
knowing that
because
one piece of information.
if you negotiate $5,000 more at the beginning of your career, that's $600,000 more money you're going to make over your lifetime.
Oh my gosh. That is
Yeah,
insane. And
it
that's
is
just money left on the table because, right, you didn't even know that you could, that you didn't even have, that you had the option to
that you
ask.
feel like you shouldn't, or that they're going to think you're not grateful,
Oh,
or they're going to think you're greedy, or yeah, most of the time we're just very afraid of that uncomfortable conversation.
yeah.
And
Yes.
again, with that confidence, if you have your own back, you can survive 15 minutes of discomfort. I have been in negotiations where my body is literally turning
Oh,
around, wanting to walk away. And
yes.
I'm literally forcing my body to stay.
Oh my gosh. Yep. Yes.
Because
Yeah.
I will win out. They will give in to the discomfort first, not me.
Dude, you
Because I
are,
know it's
yes.
okay.
Oh my gosh. I just love this so much. And I feel like that's so applicable to so many areas of our life is like sitting in the discomfort, change and growth and asking for things. Conversations can be so uncomfortable, but like that's how we move forward, right? When we stay in the comfort zone, we get stuck and our lives typically tend to look the same and we don't create the lives that we love.
I also think so if you want to create your own life by starting a business, there's so
Mhm.
much discomfort in it. If
Oh,
you
yeah.
have a parenting disagreement with your spouse, you might, or partner, would require an uncomfortable conversation. Your kids are exposed to something that you then need to have an uncomfortable conversation with them.
Yeah.
You don't like the way the grandparents are dealing with your, like, there's so many areas of our life where we have uncomfortable conversations. And the more we can move forward and make room for that discomfort, because the discomfort will never go away. It's like a fallacy to think it will go away. It'll always be there. What will change is your ability to ignore it while it's there.
Yes.
And I think being able to do that actually gives us the life we want. And it allows other people in to be living it in a way that we sort of would like.
Yes. So bottom line here, run toward the discomfort. Don't hide from it. It's what moves your life forward. Okay. So Sara, I have one final question for you before we wrap up. I'm really curious because this is a question I want to start asking my interviewees because I feel like it just speaks to the core of what we're doing here. I'm so curious what it means to you to be happier in motherhood. What does that look like for you?
I think number one is calm. It's like a sense of calmness.
Yeah.
I think it's a sense of gratitude. I think it's recognizing the miracle that we have created in our life.
Yes.
I think it's like, for me, based off of my own things, it's also having children know that they're very supportive and loved. And I want them to learn to have their own back by me always having their back and by my husband always having their back. And for us, my husband and I, for Justin and I, to have each other's backs. I think modeling that is a great way. And it's living the life that we want. Yeah. Having the adventures that we want, doing it on our terms, not making decisions because we think they're what society should want of us, or what. There's no keeping up in the Joneses in this family.
Yes, which I love.
Yeah, and prioritizing what brings us joy and what makes us happy, and knowing that.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. It has been so fun to have you on the show. I feel like we could just keep talking, and your wisdom that you have shared in this episode, I know is going to serve so many people that listen to it. So thank you so much for your time, Sara.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for letting me get on my soapbox a little bit. Oh, it's always
yes,
with me.
Yes, anytime.
Thand you so much. I've loved this so much. Thanks, Kate.
If you loved this episode, it would make me so happy for us to connect more. I have the most amazing free resources like a 5-day e-course that will help you feel more confident leading your days and your family, a guided visualization for imagining and creating the life that you want. And if you are ready to take everything that you hear in this podcast and create it in your own life, you're definitely going to want to book a free 50-minute call with me to see if coaching is the perfect fit for you. Head to thestreamlinedlife.com/hello to find all of the latest resources from me. And I am sending so much love to you and your crew. I will see you next time.